According to the ancient calendars from all parts of the world and the more recently elaborated laws of physics, this weekend is the solstice, Yule, Midwinter. At its most obvious, a day for the return of the light to combat the dark and for the sun to be welcomed ascendant. There are traditions from long before. We can splash wine on a Yule log, burn herbs with it. We can take a big basket of carrots out and feed a night treat to all the creatures we have, wild and tame. Everyone likes carrots. We can turn notepads to fresh pages, light candles, reverse roles, license misrule, indulge in figs and cheese and honey and wine together. It is about the future and the past, about both the old and the new, a threshold and a door, an invitation. Endings are beginnings, and we can mark them. And deeper still, underneath all these marking traditions is the light and the darkness. All the light and the darkness that physics gives us, that an extravagant world offers. And still underneath even that, the lightness and darkness within us that meets them. And perhaps inside us it is not about choosing between them. The most alive and real people that we know hold both. We are not actually built easily for this. Some of the windows into knowing and being with our true selves are alarming, if you've ever encountered them. Real silence, real solitude, real stillness, real slowness, real darkness. All these are frightening when encountered, either in themselves or as harbingers of a possible post-mortality that can't be known. So we defend our peripheries. We or someone we know might someday be met and welcomed by blindness, dementia, exile, paralysis, or exhaustion. And really, we'd rather not go there until we have to. We avoid, we speed, we distract, we numb. We are not prepared. But we don't have to dive straight into the deep end. We can enter and wait by the door even a few moments longer than we wish, not run, just stay. We can go on dates. And in doing so, these natural fears weaken and fade, and there is beauty there that has just been waiting. It would be sad if I charged at high speed now here with you, like describing figs and honey without giving you a fresh taste. So here we go, a brief visit into the wilderness with a guide. And so for each of these words, you can answer two questions for yourself. What is the most beautiful moment that this and I ever experienced there? And secondly, when was the last time we went out together? Silence. Solitude. Stillness. Darkness. Slowness. I've dated silence. I've stayed in monasteries all around the world, and some with held vows of silence for all there, all the time. I felt an odd freedom, often, not in not speaking. Today I keep small rolls of surgical tape by my bed and in random pockets and bags. I am not cloistered, and yet occasionally a square of tape over my mouth somehow lifts me right back into that freedom that I felt there. A brief invitation to just see and just be. I date solitude. One fall at the end of a long, often brutally hot and brutally crowded summer job, I turned my pickup left instead of right at the usual turn and continued east, alone with a banjo, a bag of oranges, a stovetop espresso pot, and spare underwear and a lot of extra picks in the side pocket. I moved deep through the Great Plains and found a monastery on a hill overlooking vast cow herds and cornfields. Just solitude and me on a road trip together. The drive was as much the pilgrimage as the found destination. I've dated stillness. I stood once beneath a great golden eagle that landed on the field pivot waterer high above me. For long minutes, I simply relaxed and looked at it, and it looked down at me. There was grace in its stillness and in mine. And in the stillness of the snowy fields around us. And when she flew away, that stillness remained, harvested for use. I date darkness. Waking at 3 a.m. during lambing season, I walked among sheep scattered quietly across the snow of the upper paddock, not a single one choosing the shelter. No new lambs. And instead of curling back into a warm bed, I kept walking down toward the river under no moon. Even with this darkness, I closed my eyes for more and walked as many steps as I could by touch, sound, and memory before I was stopped. Once by an aspen tree, and once, more painfully, by a buffalo berry bush. How many times, how many years would it take to do these hundreds of yards impeccably blind? I don't know yet, and I may never. But I know that as I walked, I felt the lucky one who walked in safety in the dark, re-knowing the land, mountain lions notwithstanding. And I date slowness. Yesterday I woke early, and as the sun rose above the eastern river trees, I walked towards it from the house, marking the tree whose top it touched. But this walking is truly an exercise in a vast and slow noticing. For the next 6 months, this rising and the angle of this walk east will gradually move back towards the south, until it reaches another far different tree. This walk is a long dance, aiming back and forth along the riverbed through the years, and slowness plays its music. These invitations are always open to all of us. This is inner hospitality. By welcoming and even courting these companions and others like them, we can stop running headlong after a lighted perfection or living in the shame of not finding it. Willing to be made briefly nothing. And we come back out in a self that is braver, more generous, exquisitely here. Lightness and darkness held in the broad chalice of the human heart, and we are fierce with reality. Midwinter blessings.